Chapter 9, Negotiating Salary and Accepting the Right Offer. Sections. Section 9.1, Understanding Ontario Pay Scales, Benefits and Your Market Worth. Section 9.2, Discussing Compensation Without Underselling Decades of Experience. Section 9.3, Evaluating Job Offers Beyond the Paycheck, Culture, Growth, and Flexibility. Section 9.4, Embracing Contract, Part-Time, and Bridge Roles as Strategic Steps. There comes a moment in your Ontario job search when the phone rings or the email arrives, and the voice on the other end says, "We'd like to offer you the position." Your heart lifts. Relief, pride, and a little bit of fear wash over you because the very next thought is, what if the salary isn't enough? How do I even talk about money in this country? This chapter will walk beside you through that door. You've already crafted an age-proof resume, built a Canadian network from nothing, and turned interviews into conversations where your decades of experience shone. Now we tackle the delicate art of being paid what you're truly worth, without sounding demanding, and without shrinking yourself to fit a number that doesn't support your new life in Ontario. We'll learn to read between the lines of a compensation package, weigh a job's hidden value, and, when necessary, say yes to a strategic stopover role that keeps your momentum alive. You are not a junior employee starting from zero. You carry a depth of wisdom, reliability, and a global perspective that Ontario employers desperately need. This chapter will help you translate that truth into dollars, respect, and a role that honors your golden chapter. 9.1 Understanding Ontario Pay Scales, Benefits, and Your Market Worth. Before you can negotiate, you must know the playing field. Many mature newcomers, anxious to land any job, accept the first number offered without realizing they may be leaving thousands of dollars and crucial benefits on the table. Ontario has its own rhythm when it comes to compensation, and learning it gives you quiet power. Start by familiarizing yourself with the concept of a salary band. Most mid-size and large employers in Ontario attach every role to a predetermined pay range. The bottom of that range is for candidates who meet the minimum qualifications. The midpoint is for those who hit every requirement comfortably. The top is reserved for the person who not only checks every box but brings something rare, and that, my friend, is you. Your decades of experience, your cross-cultural fluency, your calm under pressure, these are premium qualities. Never forget it. To research your market worth, use tools specifically relevant to Ontario. The Government of Canada's Job Bank website, jobbank.gc.ca, lets you search wages by occupation and region. Filter for Ontario, and even for specific cities like Toronto, Ottawa, or Hamilton. Glassdoor, Indeed, and PayScale also offer salary comparisons, but remember those numbers are self-reported and often skew lower. Talk to employment counselors at immigrant-serving agencies like Costi or Axis Employment. They frequently have access to real-time hiring data. Attend industry-specific networking events and ask, discreetly, about salary norms. A trusted mentor might share, in this field, someone with your background usually starts between X and Y. Understanding benefits is equally vital. In Ontario, a compensation package often includes more than base pay. You might encounter extended health and dental coverage, life insurance and disability insurance, pension or RRSP matching contributions, paid vacation. Statutory minimum in Ontario is 2 weeks, but many professional roles offer 3 or more, wellness spending accounts or professional development funds, flexible work arrangements, remote work options. For a mature worker, benefits like robust drug and paramedical coverage, physiotherapy, massage, mental health services can be worth thousands a year. A slightly lower salary with exceptional benefits may leave you better off than a higher salary with none. As you gather data, create a personal compensation thermometer that visualizes the total package, not just the base pay, so you can evaluate offers holistically. Figure, with light background and high contrast, create image in landscape orientation best describes and represents the following. A stylized illustration of a balance scale. On the left pan, a single large coin labeled base pay. On the right pan, a cluster of smaller icons representing benefits, a medical cross, a house, remote work, a book, training, a tree, pension, and a calendar, vacation days. The scale is perfectly balanced. Above the image, a headline reads the full compensation picture. The style is clean, modern, using soft blues and golds, conveying fairness and clarity. Remember, your market worth is not just a number plucked from a website. It's the intersection of what the market pays for someone with your unique blend of reliability, international insight, and seasoned judgment. Once you internalize that, you're ready to talk numbers without apology. 9.2 Discussing compensation without underselling decades of experience. The salary conversation can feel like a high-stakes tightrope. Many of us were raised not to talk about money, and the Canadian workplace can add cultural layers that confuse even confident professionals. The key is to shift your mindset. You are not demanding a favor, you are collaborating on a fair exchange of value. Let me share a technique I call the bridge and validate approach. When the employer asks about your salary expectations, or when you feel the moment is right, bridge from their needs to your contribution, and validate with evidence. It might sound like this. I'm excited about this opportunity because I can see exactly how my experience in supply chain management would help you reduce the inefficiencies you mentioned. Based on my research for this type of role in Mississauga, and considering I bring 25 years of hands-on leadership and ERP system implementation, I'm looking at a range between $75,000 and $85,000. I'm open to discussing the full package, of course. Notice you didn't say, I need or I want. You anchored your ask to the value you'll deliver, and you grounded it in market data. It feels collaborative, not combative. What if you're asked about your current or previous salary? In Ontario, several employers are moving away from that question, but if it arises, you can gracefully redirect, in my previous role, I was compensated well for the responsibilities I held, but what matters now is how we align on a fair package for this position's scope and my ability to contribute. This keeps the focus on the present. Many mature newcomers worry about being seen as expensive or overqualified. I want you to reframe that fear. Your depth is an asset, not a liability. When an employer expresses concern about your salary expectations, you have an opening to demonstrate flexibility without selling yourself short. Say, I understand budget constraints. Could we explore a performance-based increase after 6 months, or a signing bonus to bridge the gap? I'm committed to delivering results that will justify it. This shows you're a problem solver, not a passive acceptor. Figure, with light background and high contrast, create image in landscape orientation best describes and represents the following. A tidy flowchart diagram with soft arrows and rounded boxes. The starting box, the employer asks about salary expectations. An arrow leads to a decision diamond, are you prepared with market data? 2 paths, yes leads to a box, bridge to value, state a range anchored in data, and express flexibility. No leads to a box, say, I'd love to learn more about the full scope of the role first. Could we revisit compensation after we discuss how my skills align? Both paths then merge into a final box, maintain collaborative tone, focus on mutual fit. The color palette uses sage green, navy, and warm gray, suggesting calm competence. Never feel pressured to accept on the spot. A hallmark of seasoned professional confidence is the ability to say, thank you for this offer. I'd like to review it carefully overnight and get back to you tomorrow. That pause grants you the space to evaluate the whole picture, and it silently signals that you are a person who makes thoughtful decisions, not a desperate one. 9.3 Evaluating job offers beyond the paycheck, culture, growth, and flexibility. The initial thrill of an offer can blind us to the subtle factors that will determine whether we thrive or merely survive. For a newcomer over 60, the right workplace isn't just about the salary, it's about whether you'll be respected, stimulated, and given room to balance life's other priorities. Let me give you a mental checklist I call the 5 pillars of a wise acceptance. Rank each on a scale of 1 to 10 as you review the offer. Cultural respect and inclusion. During interviews, did you notice people of different ages and backgrounds? Did the hiring manager seem genuinely interested in your ideas, or did they talk down to you? A workplace that values age diversity will invest in your success, not just tolerate your presence. Manager relationship. Your direct supervisor can make or break your experience. Did they listen well? Ask thoughtful questions. A good manager, younger or older, will see your experience as a resource, not a threat. Growth and learning. Even at 65, we crave purpose and mastery. Does the role offer opportunities to learn new tools, mentor younger colleagues, or lead a project? Stagnation is the enemy of fulfillment. Flexibility and accommodation. As we age, our needs may shift. Flexibility to work remotely a few days a week, adjust start times, or take time for medical appointments without guilt becomes priceless. Ask directly, could you describe the team's approach to flexibility? The answer will reveal much. Stability and ethical standing. Is this a company with a track record of treating employees fairly, especially during economic downturns? You can research employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor, but also pay attention to how they handled the pandemic. Did they pivot with compassion? Give each pillar a score and add them up. A job that offers $70,000 with a nurturing, flexible culture may enrich your life far more than one paying $80,000 where you feel invisible and stressed. I've watched too many talented newcomers accept high salaries only to walk away within months because the environment eroded their confidence. Consider also the commute. In Ontario winters, a long, icy drive or a train transfer in -20 degrees Celsius weather can become a daily drain on your energy. Hybrid or remote options, even partial, can be the difference between thriving and just coping. When you evaluate an offer, map out a typical week. How much time and energy will be left for your family, your health, your hobbies? Your golden years deserve a role that energizes you, not one that extracts every last drop. Figure, with light background and high contrast, create image in landscape orientation best describes and represents the following. A 5-petal flower diagram, each petal a different soft color, blue, green, yellow, orange, lavender. Petal labels, culture and respect, manager fit, learning and growth, flexibility, stability. In the center, a heart-shaped icon with the words fulfilling job. Surrounding the flower are small, faint icons of a snowflake, commute, a $sign, and a house, suggesting external factors that influence the petals. Style is gentle watercolor and ink, evoking reflection and inner wisdom. This scoring method turns an emotional decision into a clear, visual one. It helps you move past the anxiety of "is this good enough?" to a grounded answer. And if the score is low, you have the permission you need to keep looking or to negotiate the non-monetary aspects that matter most. 9 point for embracing contract, part-time, and bridge roles as strategic steps. There is a quiet pride in many of us that insists on a permanent, full-time job. I understand that longing for stability. But Ontario's job market has shifted, and for mature newcomers, the path to that ideal role often wins through positions that don't carry the permanent label yet. Rather than see these as compromises, I invite you to reframe them as bridges, temporary structures that carry you across a gap to the other side. Contract roles, typically lasting 6 months to a year, are increasingly common in Ontario. Employers use them to manage budgets or test new initiatives. For you, they offer distinct advantages. First, they bypass the overqualified filter. Companies are less threatened by a seasoned expert on a contract because it's seen as a project hire. Second, they pay well, often a premium per hour because no benefits are included. Third, they get your Canadian experience on your resume fast, which is the single most powerful door opener for future permanent roles. I have seen a 62-year-old accountant from Manila take a 6-month contract at a Brampton manufacturing firm. Her quiet efficiency and mentorship of junior staff turned it into a permanent controller position within 4 months. Part-time work deserves equal respect. For many of us, a 20 or 30-hour week matches our energy levels, allows caregiving for grandchildren, or leaves room for further certification study. Ontario employers in retail, education, and healthcare increasingly offer part-time roles with prorated benefits. A part-time job can be your Canadian launching pad, proving your reliability and cultural fit while you continue building your network and exploring full-time opportunities. Bridge roles, sometimes called survival jobs, are the ones that keep your finances steady while you pursue licensing or a bigger career goal. Driving for a rideshare service, working as a library assistant, or doing administrative temp work need not dent your dignity. When I arrived as a mid-career professional years ago, I spent 6 months in a call center. That role taught me the Canadian communication style, gave me local references, and paid my rent. It was not my identity, it was my stepping stone. To make these strategic steps work, always keep one eye on your long-term target. Set a review date. I will do this contract for 8 months, and by then I'll have my engineering license equivalency. Or while work part-time while taking the PMP exam. By framing these roles as intentional chapters, you protect your self-worth and build a narrative that future employers will admire, a story of resilience and strategic thinking. Figure, with light background and high contrast, create image in landscape orientation best describes and represents the following. A graphic illustration of a winding path leading from a starting point labeled Arrival in Ontario to a mountaintop labeled Meaningful Career. Along the path, there are small bridge icons crossing gaps, each bridge labeled 6-month contract, Canadian experience, part-time role, flexibility and income, bridge job, survival and language practice. The path is dotted with encouraging signs, licensure obtained, network built, confidence grows. The sky is warm and sunrise-colored, suggesting hope. Style is akin to an uplifting infographic, with clean lines and a human figure of indistinct age walking purposefully along the path. Far from being a sign of failure, accepting a non-traditional role can be the smartest move you make. It answers the immediate need for income while you quietly construct the future you truly want. In a country where employers love a story of grit and determination, your bridge job becomes a badge of honor, not a blemish. As you close this chapter, I want you to hold on to one core belief: you are not asking for a favor. You are offering a deep well of reliability, perspective, and hard-won skill. Ontario needs workers who show up calm when others panic, who can read a room because they've read 1,000 rooms, and who understand that loyalty and integrity are not old-fashioned words. Those qualities have market value. Let this chapter be your tool to claim it, with grace, with data, and with the unshakable knowledge that your worth was earned across a lifetime. Figure Mind Map. A detailed mind map for the chapter Negotiating Salary and Accepting the Right Offer. Central node titled Negotiating and Accepting Offers, over 60. For main branches, 1. Know your worth, Ontario pay scales and benefits with sub-branches, job bank data, salary bands, total compensation, health, pension, vacation, flexibility, research tools. 2. Discussing compensation with confidence with sub-branches, bridge and validate method, market data anchoring, redirecting past salary questions, performance-based flex, never accept on the spot. 3. Evaluating beyond paycheck with sub-branches, 5 pillars, culture, manager, growth, flexibility, stability, commute energy audit, scoring method for offers. 4. Strategic bridge roles with sub-branches, contracts as Canadian experience accelerators, part-time for balance, bridge jobs for stepping stones, intentional timeline for transition. Connecting lines show how these branches interlink, confidence in worth feeds negotiation, evaluation feeds acceptance decisions, bridge roles feed into long-term career. Style, clean, professional, hand-drawn effect, with icons, $, handshake, heart, bridge. Color palette, forest green, gold, and charcoal gray, representing growth, wisdom, and dignity.